Hello, this is a WOLFpak Live, and I'm your host, Wendy Fortino. I am joined by the legendary Wesley Vissers, the Dutch Oak. Okay. Wesley has an incredible story. He started competing when he was just 14. He turned pro at 17. He's your 2024 Arnold Classic champion in classic physique. And he has been through a lot this year, which we're going to talk about. And I just cannot wait to dive into this conversation. How are you doing today? Well, tonight for you, actually.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. And I'm actually doing very well, very great. I've indeed done a lot of competitions, and the last one was only like a week and a half ago. And now finally off season and a growing phase can begin. And I'm very excited for it. That's going to be an incredible process, which I haven't experienced for a long time.
I bet. I know all about you. I know all about your story. I have a little video that I prepared to kind of take you down memory lane to get us started off on the right foot. And so we're going to watch that. It's like 2 minutes long, and then we'll dive right in.
Vissers! When I watched you pose today, the first thing that came to my mind was this guy reminds me a little bit of Lou Ferrigno. He had this kind of a physique. He had wide shoulders, narrow waist. His posing was kind of the same. He had great poses. His lat spread reminded me of your lat spread and the double bicep pose and all of that. Has anyone ever said to you that you remind him of Lou Ferrigno? Yeah. Or am I the first one?
You're one of the first ones, but I can see the comparison. Both of your physiques are truly up there with my ultimate idol, how a physique should look as a true golden era physique. So thank you for the compliment.
It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story.
This is from your Detroit pro that you just
That means when he puts it down, Tox picking it up. Let's go. Who the hell is he anyway? He never really talks much, never concerned with status, but still leaving him starstruck. Humble through opportunities given despite the fact that many misjudge him because he makes a living from writing raps. Put it together himself, now the picture connects. Never asking for someone's help or to get some respect. He's only focused on what he wrote. His will is beyond reach, and now it all unfolds. The skill of an artist. This is 20% skill, 80% fear, be 100% clear, cause Ryu was ill. Who would've thought he'd be the one that set the West in flames? And I heard him wreck it with the crystal method, name of the game. Came back, dropped Megadeth, took him to church. I like Bleach, man. Ryu had the stupidest verse, this dude is the truth. Now everybody giving them guest spots and stocks through the roof. I heard he fucking with that stock. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. They call him Ryu, he's sick and he's spitting fire. And Mike got him out the dryer, he's hot. Found him in Fort Minor with top, but a fucking nihilist.
All right. Does that bring back some memories?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, most of it was, of course, of my Arnold Classic victory, which really changed my entire life for the better. I mean, that was an incredible experience, and it brought belief in myself that I can really make this happen and really become someone great in the sport. And ever since then, I've been going all out at it, even though I haven't achieved something similar yet. That's exactly the reason why I'm now taking a longer off season. But that was a very nice video indeed.
I mean, so what I went back in time, okay? I kind of want to brush up on where you started, because I think that people, they see you and they think, oh, wow, like he just kind of came out of nowhere. He's newer. But when I did some digging, I realized that you started competing when you were just 14, right?
Well, actually, I started bodybuilding when I was 14 because that was the legal age that I was allowed to go into the gym. Yeah, in 2014, that's when actually in 2013, so 11 years before the Arnold Classic victory, I did my very first show. And I was 20 years old back then. And I was training for around 6 or 7 years, around 6 years by that point. But I never even thought I could go on stage because I always thought I was way too small. And I thought, who would be interested in seeing me on the stage like that? But I didn't know there were amateur bodybuilding shows at all. I only thought about the Mr. Olympia, because I knew about Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, and I was like, I'm nowhere near those physiques yet. It's going to take me a longer time to achieve that. But, I saw a poster in the gym, and someone at the gym who was also doing bodybuilding told me, you should really do this show because I think you have a chance. And then he coached for free. And then, the rest is history because I won that show. And of course, when you win your first show, you're hooked. You don't want to stop anymore.
Yeah. I know what's crazy for you is that, I mean, you have had a long run. And like I said, it seems like, you just kind of came out of nowhere. For me, I know that, you were on everyone's radar because you had such a phenomenal physique, but I don't think anybody saw you coming the way that you did at the 2024 Arnold. That was when you really got put on the map. I know I do media with Olympia TV too, and you're part of the battle with Ramon and Urs, and the three of you battling it out, heading into the Olympia. And there's a lot of pressure on you. So take me there. Let's actually start there, and then we're going to kind of backtrack and have some other things that I want to talk to you about. But take me back there right after you win the Arnold 2024. Everything's coming at you all at once. Everybody wants a piece of you. You're in the Olympia battle. Take me to your mindset in that moment.
Yeah, just like you say, no one saw me coming. And I didn't see it coming myself either. I was like, okay, a top 5 finish would already be a dream because that means I would have beaten at least one guy who beat me at the Olympia previously. That would have already been a victory. But to win the whole show means I kind of beat everybody except for Chris Bumstead, which was at the time, of course, the Classic Physique champion multiple times. So he was the best. So there's only one guy I still had to beat, but it was so surreal because at least, like you say, so much comes at you at once because I was right away invited to the Olympia headquarters in Phoenix as well for the Battle of the Olympia. So they already planned a workout with Chris, Urs, and Ramon because they thought, okay, these 3 are the ones we're going to have to worry about in terms of the battle at the Olympia. But then me winning the Arnold means I beat at least 2 of those guys. So they had to kind of force me into the battle. So instead of a 3-way battle, it was a 4-way battle, which, so much comes at you, not just in the bodybuilding industry, but also back at home because I live in the Netherlands. And here bodybuilding is kind of on a down low. But when it's combined with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which everybody knows, all of a sudden people start to become interested. So I got a lot of calls from newspapers, like local news, but also national TV shows. So I went home and I did a lot of those things as well. And then 2 weeks later was already Arnold Classic UK. So it was really a whirlwind of experiences, but it brought some kind of pressure at me. But at first it brought a relief because I was kind of wondering, am I ever going to be near the top of the Olympia? Like I'm always like, either I started top 10 for like 3 years, then 2 years I was like 8th, then 7th, and I was like, well, I'm moving up slowly, but is it really ever going to be me and the top guys? And then winning the Arnold, that kind of solidified that feeling. And then I knew, okay, there is potential here to actually win it all. And that's when I started to believe in myself. So no matter what anybody says, when you win an Arnold, you will have to believe in yourself for the rest of your life, which is a great thing to always have in the back of your mind.
I think that's something. Okay, I'm just gonna be real here. You're not relatable because you are an extraordinary athlete who, I mean, to be honest, not many people can relate to somebody at your level, right? I do have to say, I mean, I have a lot of experience in the sport. I've been to the Olympia 8 times. I think you have been to the Olympia 6 times, right?
It's always I always have to think back because
It doesn't matter once you
No.
get to that number. No, I know, but for me, I can relate to you because you made a statement and it really hit me hard. And you said there's no such thing as a linear path to success. You're up and then it's inevitable that you're going to get knocked down. And then that's where I really relate to you because I feel like in the longevity of things, like when you're at something for a really long time, it's almost impossible to stay at the top for a really long period of time. It's like you have the moments where you slip a little bit, and then that's where you find out who you are, what you're made of, and what you have in you to dig deep to get back to the top. So tell me about that, because that's kind of where you're at right now. And we know you're going to be number one. Everyone does. So it's going to happen. I mean, hello.
Appreciate that.
So talk to me about that, because that's what people really can relate to, that just that mindset.
Yeah. So that's what I really realized. Like, I'm kind of fortunate that I lost a lot of competitions before winning one as well, because I was used to winning everything at first. In the Netherlands, in my own country, it's not a big sport. So whenever you do a competition and you're semi-good, you're gonna end up pretty much on top. So I pretty much won everything. Even my pro card, I won right away. My pro debut, I won right away. But then I went to the Mr. Olympia for the first time. And then I was like pretty much last place, like shared 14th place. So that was the first time ever I experienced what it was like to lose. And then from that moment, it was kind of like a battle, like a never-ending battle to win a competition. Like I went to a competition, then I lost. Then I went to like a local competition, then I won again, qualified for the Olympia, then end outside the top 10. And it kind of kept going like this for many years. So then to win the Arnold after, like, of course I've won several shows in between and some noteworthy, but nothing like the Arnold. But yeah, like you say, then you are on the top of the world. And then of course you want to stay there. But the reality is in practice, it doesn't always pan out that way. We always remember the champions who win back to back, but those are actually the exception. Most people, they rise to the top once, and then they might not stay there, but it's the goal to have the discipline to actually believe in yourself. I've been there once, so I can get there again. Despite losing or thinking you fail in between, you can always get better. And that's really what I think. Like, but you at least have to win once, or to really have a great passion for the sport and believe in yourself, that knowing you can finally get there. And but once you have, I'm never gonna lose that faith again. So no matter how many times that I lose a show or don't even agree with like the placings, I don't care, because I know there's always more to give and more to show. And that's exactly what I plan on doing for the next show. So the last couple of shows, of course, the Olympia and then Arnold afterwards, and now even Detroit. Like Detroit is kind of maybe a little bit of controversy, but at least the Olympia and the Arnold were both way lower placings than people expected of me. So this is where the pressure part comes into play, where you have to make the decision, am I going to care about what I feel about myself or what other people expect of me? And that is a really fine balance to play with. And especially with social media, of course, you hear so many opinions, but you gotta find that secret ability to latch on to the positive ones, like the positive comments, and not the negative ones, because the negative ones, what are they going to do? They're not going to ever help you. But the fact that you get positive ones means that there are people out there who believe in you. And that's why wouldn't you focus on those? And that's what I always do. And that's why I'm also always very transparent about whenever I lose a show. I'm like, okay, why did I lose the show? What's the reasoning behind it? What was the winner better at than me? And what will I do to get closer to this? Because no one is perfect. No, even the winner at a show is not perfect, but for yourself, you can always be better. And that is what bodybuilding is, kind of the sculpture you're building in the gym. You want to make it more and more perfect, but it's like a never ending goal. But in the end, you will get to your best self you can be. And that's kind of what bodybuilding is to me. It's like a project that never ends, but that's what makes it a lot of fun. And the process along the way is, trust me, anybody listening to this, I've made this mistake myself. Like, I won the Arnold, and that's a lot of fun, but don't ever think you can't enjoy the process even when you then lose afterwards. Because it would be such a shame, because now I'm sure most of the time that I've been competing has been for shows that I didn't win. And if I then would ignore all of that because I didn't win, you got to enjoy, because that's the most time you spend is working towards those competitions. So really enjoy the time, and be aware of the fact that you're able to do this, that you're granted this ability to do this, and to do this for your living, for example, and to make money doing it. I mean, it's just a dream come true. And that's what I realize every single day, that this sport provides for my family, which is super important to me. So I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I can.
Really fast, I'm going to tell you something interesting, and then I'm going to tell you something I disagree with you on. I want to tell you, I feel like I need this conversation right now, because I don't know if you knew this, but I just competed this past weekend. I went to defend my title at the Triple O Dynasty, and I didn't. And so it's like, I feel like you're speaking directly to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, because I've been competing for 15 years now.
Wow.
It's been a long time, and there's a lot of wins there, but the majority of the time is definitely not winning. I mean, that's what's interesting about the journey, is that, you feel. The thing I'm going to disagree with you about is, you said that people usually remember the multiple time champions. And I disagree with that, because I actually feel like there are champions who, they may not win multiple times, but they are more remembered than maybe the ones that have won multiple times. And, for you, like, your persona and your personality and the way that people just love you, and I mean, you're so beloved in this industry. You bring something very unique to the table, and I've seen it all. I saw when you came off the Arnold stage, all the fans that were so up for you, all of a sudden they turn on you, and you handled it so freaking well. And I'm just like, this guy is going to last a long time. We have just gotten started with him. He is not only not done, but he can handle this. Like, he has got this, So I think that, you are going to win multiple times, but I also think that being remembered is so much more than the multiple time wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure. I mean, you're very right about that, because I always try to give a little bit of a view into the behind the scenes of what I do as well. So to give another example, like, I'm usually at a booth at the expos around the show, and that's where you get to meet the people actually face to face, who always watch you or follow you or message you on Instagram. Then they're like, oh, I was the one who sent a DM about this and that. But then they follow up on their story, and they actually mention that sometimes your message, or your, not just the victory itself, but your perseverance towards it throughout all those years, has inspired them or made them believe in themselves to actually get out there and do it themselves as well on their own level. So actually losing a lot of weight, or building muscle, or feeling secure about themselves. Those stories, those are so incredible, because you would never guess that so many people would be inspired by your own journey just by the numbers. You can't really see the actual people behind it, but it's when you go to the shows itself, then you get to meet those people. And it's just amazing that people are so invested sometimes in your story that you're showing, that I think it's very important, like you say, that sometimes it's just somebody who wins once, but has gone through a different experience or different story, can inspire people in a great way as well. So yeah, I think you're very right about that.
That is amazing. I mean, that's what we're doing this for, right? At the end of the day, that's what puts it all in perspective. I want to talk about Detroit, because you had a conversation after the Arnold, and you went on a podcast. You and your coach, Stefan, boss of Outlaw. He seems so awesome. He seems such an awesome person to work with. You guys have such a great dynamic. You guys sat down and you talked about what happened at the Arnold, and I couldn't believe what I heard. I mean, I had no idea. You looked incredible on stage. I mean, maybe a tick off from 2024, but I've been at this for so long that I know that it's so hard to hit that perfect exact moment. And I thought, considering you looked amazing. When I heard this story, I couldn't believe it. So refresh us all on a little bit briefly on what happened, and then the decision to then go and do Detroit.
Yeah, so I, of course, went into the Arnold with full confidence, like 2 weeks before going on the airplane. I was very confident in my ability to win it again because, it was my title I wanted to defend. I looked great. I was in way better condition and my fullness was there for sure. But I was still like 3 or 4 kilos above the weight cap, but I was pretty much ready. I was totally ready for the show. And I told my coach, like I think I saw that I said it in the video as well, that I was scared of not making weight because my physique was ready to compete. But as always, when you trust your coach, they always have like techniques to bring your weight down. And usually after a flight, I lose the weight anyway. But the problem was I was packing my suitcase, and this was one day before flying out, like the same morning, basically after the night I was going to fly very early. And towards the evening, I started to feel kind of nauseated or just not well. My energy was low. I was packing my suitcase and I had to rest in between. I was like, what's going on? I'm not even hungry at all, which at the end of prep, if you're not hungry for a meal, for your next meal, something is wrong.
Yeah.
And actually that day, I also gained like a kilo as opposed to the previous day. And I looked a little bit more watery, but I was like, maybe it's like a little bit of stress for the flight or something random, it's kind of noise in the week. But in hindsight, it was telling that I was actually getting sick. And we still don't know exactly what it was, but I think a combination of food poisoning and the norovirus, I believe. It was kind of very prevalent in the Netherlands at that time. And also my daughter and son were both had been ill as well. And I was like, wait a second, I'm not even... my immune system must still be pretty good because they got ill and they got better, but I didn't notice anything yet. But we all know the incubation time might be a little longer sometimes, which means when they get better, I start to get sick still from their illness, for example. But in the night of before going on the airplane, let's not go into too much detail, but I lost weight by losing a lot of water from both ends. Let's just say that. And I haven't been sick.
It's not funny, but it's funny.
Yeah. I haven't like thrown up in I can't even remember the last time because I never get sick. And even when I get sick, I'm always like, okay, I feel it a little bit, but if I wait long enough, it's going down again. And I can it's usually going out the other end, but that's at least not as bad as going both ends at the same time. And I think I went to the bathroom like 20 plus times in the night, like back and forth. And it was like, I didn't know what was going on because it was like a force. It was like my body was trying to force something out, like very forcefully. Yeah. And I only had I don't even think I really slept at all. And by the next morning, I was very, very weak. And Marley, my fiance, because we always go as a team, she told me, or she asked me, you still want to go? I mean, do you still feel like going? And the problem with me is mentally, I always say yes. Physically, I would have said no. My body would have said no. But mentally, I'm like, yes, of course. I got a title. I got to still show up at least. Maybe we can still fix it in the week. Because I wasn't aware yet how bad it was. And that day, I lost 4 kilos through the night. But then it kept happening the day itself of the flight because I went on a wheelchair because I
saw that. I was like, what the heck is he doing in a wheelchair?
It's so hard to imagine. But when you lose so much hydration and you can't get it back because the moment I try to drink, it's going out again. So you can't do anything about it. But when you lose hydration status and you can't get in any carbs, any electrolytes or anything, and you're already depleted in a very low body fat, I mean, where is the energy coming from? It's nowhere. So even walking was already very difficult and I felt very sick and nauseated. So the only thing I could do was just sit down and basically let other people make sure I get to the location I need to go. And luckily the airport has like these services where somebody can actually, if you just show them your ticket, they know exactly where to go, so they can just push and help you. But in the Netherlands, Marley and our video guy also who goes with us, Niels, he also helped out a lot. So I was very, very sick, and I still kept going to the bathroom on that day. So in total, I lost 7 kilos from already being very depleted. And I weighed less than I weighed at my pro debut, winning my pro card. So I was even below the amateur weight limit. And I was like, how is this possible? Because where is all of this weight coming from? I mean, and after a few days, like I could eat, but it went down. But the moment it got into my intestines, it got forced out again. So I was like, okay, my stomach feels good, so I can eat, I can pretty much drink as long as I do it with very digestive foods, like very super simple foods. So I had like a little bit of coconut water or Pedialyte or like oral rehydration salt. So very like just emergency foods, basically to get water and hydration and electrolytes in. But it was only pretty much one day out of the show that I was going to the bathroom normally, and I was like, as a man, you usually stand up and pee, but I didn't have to pee standing up at all those days before, because it went out like the wrong end, basically all the water. So I was like, it was a strange thing.
This isn't funny, but it is.
Yeah, yeah, it is funny, because I was going to the bathroom, and I was standing up, and I had to pee. I was like, "Hey guys, this is the first time I'm actually standing up," and it was like a milestone, because that means your body is regulating itself. But we all know, one day out, what are you going to do? I mean, what can you do? Like you can try and load the carbohydrates, but your body's not going to absorb it the same way, or you're going to get bloated, and my digestion was still off. So we did the best we could. And I was still like the morning of the show, I actually felt quite confident. Wait a second, maybe we can actually do some damage here. But of course, somebody like Mike and all the others, they were peaked to perfection, basically, especially Logan surprised me a lot. So if I'm not at my very best, I would have never been able to beat them. And of course, being the defendant of the title, the judges expect at least the same package or better. So it's that combination basically that did me in. And the feedback of the judges was also that I was too flat. But that was to be expected. So that was my decision to do Detroit, because I didn't feel accomplished, and it would have felt strange to go into an off season, ending the contest season on a low note, basically not showing what I'm capable of, because you've been working all year, at least prepping for many months for one show, to show people, okay, this is Wesley Vissers, this is what I'm capable of, and then something random happens and you just can't show everybody. So I was gonna do Detroit pretty much.
I want to talk about Detroit, but hang on, before you talk about Detroit, I have one quick question to ask you. Going into this, I mean, Tim, you look incredible. I cannot even get over, after hearing your story, because I would have never thought any of that happened when I saw you at the Olympia or the Arnold. Wait, I'm sorry. This happened at the Arnold. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You looked incredible at the Olympia. I have your Olympia pictures pulled up here. I got twisted up for a second. Did it ever cross your mind that you were basically going to pull out? Like, did it ever cross your mind, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm going to make it to the stage? Or were you just, I have to figure this out? Were you in just that adrenaline autopilot, like this is happening, we have to figure this out mode?
Yeah, I kind of trusted. I trusted my coach. I trusted Faith, and I trusted myself that we were going to fix it regardless. Because I know if I do everything correctly, we must be able to salvage something. And I was very proud of. I was so conditioned, like especially when I lost all that water. I was like, "There's no ounce of fat left on my body, so at least we have this. All we have to do is fill it up, because I can't gain fat at all, possibly. So all we have to do is just fill up the muscle somehow. And that's what we did, the best we could. But you could still see, like, I still thought I looked pretty good for what happened. But you could still see, like, in certain transitions or movements, that the pop in my physique wasn't there as it was at the last Arnold. And that's what I said we wanted to see. So, yeah.
So here we are. This is you. This is you at the Arnold. And yes, I did see you. I just couldn't even believe what you had been through after hearing it, because like I said, I mean, you still look incredible, but it just goes to show that, and I think, sometimes, like, there's a lot of athletes that are kind of trying to pull things in at the last minute. You must have been so on point before any of that happened. You must have been so, and that's probably, and this is where we're going to talk about Detroit, because that's probably where your mindset was going. I mean, I pretty much just messed up my physique in the last few days. I need to do another show because I'm not going to end on that note. I want to bring myself back to where I was 5 weeks before the Arnold. I'm 5 weeks out from Detroit. Let's do this again. I can make this happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I was ready a couple of weeks out from the Arnold, and I was very proud. I was showing striations in the glutes, which is nowadays just required in classic physique. I was showing, like, the conditioning I'd never seen on myself before, but I kept the fullness. It just sucks when it's like sucked out of you. And when you lose fullness, you also lose kind of like the pushing against the skin. So it looks less conditioned and less full. So it's like the worst of both worlds. So I wanted to bring it back. And actually, after the Arnold, we for 2 weeks we ate, like, for the first 3 or 4 days I could eat anything I want. My coach told me, first, mentally you have to switch to not be so structured, to actually reduce the cortisol, reduce the stress. So just spend time with the family, no structured meal, no training, just enjoy yourself and kind of get back to life. And really get your mindset right to be motivated again for another go at a competition. And that really helped me, because I could let go of, like, this structure you have to hold on to, and I could just get some good night's sleep, just spend time with the loved ones. And, after a few days, I started to stabilize in terms of weight, but I started to actually go down again also, because my body was like my metabolism was on fire. So I ate like in between 700 and 800 grams of carbs, almost like my loading days for the peak week, like maybe more than a week in a row. And
what kind of carbs do you eat? What do you eat for your carbs?
Yeah, pretty simple. It's like the rice pudding or like rice flour, and alternating those meals with regular rice. And the regular rice meals are the savory meals, and the rice flour meals are the sweet meals. So even though you have to eat a lot, at least you won't be taste fatigued by the end of the day. You're always experiencing something different. And I always put in the fruits, like and the vegetables in all of those meals. But I made sure to, like, I love eating wholesome foods, but I also knew, my digestive system is still a little bit sensitive. So normally I would use a zucchini, but I peeled the skin off, or I peeled it off. Like the cucumber, I peeled it as well, and made sure the fiber is nice and low, so everything keeps running smoothly. Because the moment I reintroduce fiber, because I haven't had fiber in quite a long time because of what happened at the Arnold, you can't, when you get a load, you can't add fiber back in, because then you're gonna get really bloated. So I had to adjust my diet. But at the same time, still keeping it wholesome and healthy, because you still got to give your body those nutrients to recover from everything that happened. And at the same time, enough carbohydrates to kind of load up again and to fill those glycogen stores and to get back into the rhythm of the prep. Because as I mentioned, we didn't need to lose any fat. We just had to get my body weight up, get the fullness back, which took like 3.5 weeks before my legs got back a little bit again on the pictures, because they were so much more narrow because of losing so much weight. And it takes a long time when you can't really eat that much food to get them back. Like if you want to stay at a low body fat and then somehow reinvigorate your body parts, that's very difficult to do. But we still managed to do it in like 3 to 4 weeks, and then we moved back to a regular prep schedule. And then Detroit itself, I'm super happy with my shape there. I mean, I think that's on par at least with the last year's Arnold, or even a little bit better in some areas. So I'm super proud of that package, at least that I was able to show on Detroit.
You looked amazing. I saw this video, and I thought it was one of your videos from like the Arnold or the Olympia, and I realized, wait a minute, the background's black.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So I was really impressed with this physique that you brought to Detroit. I thought you had it in the bag, but then again, you know, you already decided that regardless of whether you won or not, you were not going to go to the Olympia. That was not in the cards for you, because you just wanted to do this show so that you could do a full prep all the way through, peak right, get the physique that you wanted to end on. And that way you can go to the drawing board and do all the things that you need to do to bring the physique that you want to bring, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think in hindsight, it might not have been smart to already say that I'm not going to do the Olympia because when it's then close, I mean, why would, the judges might subconsciously think then, okay,
I was thinking that.
Yeah. Why would we let the guy win who's not going to do the Olympia? Like, I realized this when, like, at first, nothing about the Olympia was said, but as the show went on, they were like, oh, not talking about the cash prize anymore, but more about, this is the ticket to the Olympia. That's the most important thing about this show. And I was like, okay, I don't think it's going to go well for me now, because if that's what the show is about and people know I'm not doing it, that's not going to bode well for me. But still, my goal, of course you want to win, but my goal was to show what I was capable of. And to actually end, also for my own mind, to end the show season, to see myself on stage with those pictures, those videos, to see, okay, this is what Wesley could do in 2025. And this is like the end product of where we are right now. And I can really then see transparent and truthfully, okay, what do I really need to work on? Because this is the best I can be. And instead of like being flat because of something that happened to you, now I felt super good. Digestion was perfect. The peak week went very well. And I'm very, like, I think I was very complete. The conditioning and the fullness combination was perfectly peaked. And I think that gave me a lot of motivation now for this growth phase to really start digging down on the weak points and to make sure that the next time we go on stage is not planned out before, but it's because of our belief in the physique we will achieve. Okay, if we show up on stage now, we're going to win no matter what. And that is the goal. So that is really the goal. Definitely.
I know that Arnold compared you to Lou Ferrigno, but I also remember after he did, a lot of people actually thought that you reminded them more of him than of Lou Ferrigno. I agree. I see way more similarities between you and Arnold. What are your thoughts on that comparison? Because I know that you admire both of their physiques, but what do you think?
Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a very smart man, but he also has a pride about himself. And it's, of course, he's, no matter how, even if you are like a carbon copy of Arnold, he's still not going to say you're going to look like Arnold. So he just went to the next best thing, which is Lou Ferrigno, which was his kind of like his nemesis, his enemy back then. And the only other person who was also tall. He couldn't really name anybody else because that would be too straight of a comparison. And Arnold, and I spoke to people very close to Arnold, like his friends and family, and they also said Arnold is never going to say anybody's going to look like him, because that would actually damage his image, because he is the one and only Arnold. No one is going to be like him. And of course, I respect that a lot. I still look up to him. Like he's my favorite physique of all time that truly embodies what classic bodybuilding is to me. And he still has characteristics about his physique that still no one has achieved to this day. Even with the better nutrition, the supplements, you name it, it still is such a feat that he achieved that back in the 70s already, which is super impressive. And I'm very motivated to show like that dominance he showed, like in his biceps, in his chest, in like his overall appearance on stage, but then combine that with the modern day conditioning and the proportions they want to see in a classic physique. So that really is my goal to do.
I was trying to find that one shot, but I am going to say, I think that Wesley Vissers is in a league of his own. I think you have your own, completely your own package that you bring to the stage. I definitely see similarities with both of them, only because that is the classic physique. You know, small waist, wide lats, sweeping quads, with just such a flow and such a beauty to the physique, and that is exactly what you bring to the stage. So that's that similarity. I mean, there's going to be a similarity across the board with all the top classic physique guys when it comes to that symmetry and that flow and the beauty of the physique, right? But you know, you bring a very unique overall package. You know, your whole look. You know, even like, you know, your facial features, and you know, your height and your size and everything like that. Your whole physique. I think that when I look at it, it's crazy to think, yeah, there really is still a lot to improve. And that's a huge compliment, because you're already so good. But if you take to the stage even more lats, more arms, more sweeping quads, you're going to be like, I mean, it's going to be like on a whole nother level. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I appreciate that a lot. And I like that you mentioned like the arms and the lats and stuff first, because of course I know my legs need to be better, but I started this bodybuilding journey because I have a passion for it and I love it. And still having like those huge biceps and a big chest and like a super wide back and those lats that are like, when you see it, you're like, what the hell is that? That's really my motivation to train them. And the legs, they need to be in proportion. If I want to win the #1 show in the world, I have to bring them up. But I will also keep working on those strong points I have, because I think when I keep working on them, they're going to be untouchable. And then when you have at least a balanced lower body with it, it's going to be very difficult to beat. And that really is the goal, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to be like perfectly balanced where there's no special factor about it anymore. I want to have some body parts. Yeah, I want to have some body parts that actually jump out at you, and you're like, whoa, that's a lot better and bigger than the guy next to him. And the guy next to him is very balanced, but you don't immediately look at that guy because there's nothing jumping out at you. And I like to have kind of like, I like to call it the X factor in the physique, where you're always like, okay, that body part is so good. It's always going to be when that guy's competing, he's going to have that body part be the best on that stage. Yeah. And that's what I want. But then in combination with the balance they're looking for in classic physique. So I know what I need to do to make that happen. And we luckily still have room left in the weight cap as well to make it happen.
I was going to ask you about that. Before you tell me about the weight, I was going to say, you know, some of the things that make me go, wow, like when you build a little bit more, it's going to be crazy, is your insertions, for example. Like your quad insertions are really, really good. If you build your quads out a little bit more, your whole shape is going to change. Like it's going to look even crazier, which the fact that there's room to grow here is nuts, because the insertion of your quads, that's genetic. You can't do anything about that. You're super gifted in that department. So you know, done. Like that's going to happen, right? Your lat insertions, so crazy. I mean, the idea of building these out even more, insane. That's gonna be another crazy X factor. You know, your arms and your chest and everything already look really impressive. So like for you taking this to the off season, I cannot wait to see what you're gonna bring back to the stage, because there is such an incredible physique here already, like insane. And then adding things on to this physique with the insertions that you have and the genetic gifts that you have, that's what's gonna be crazy. So now tell me about the weight cap.
Yeah, thank you very much, first of all. And the weight cap for me is 249 pounds. And when I already drank, ate breakfast, still wearing clothing, I'm matching that weight basically. So without doing anything about trying to make weight, I'm easily making weight without trying, let's just say it, because I know a lot of people, especially at the Olympia, because you have like 50 plus guys, like half of them have to like fast the whole day or even the day before, not drink any water, kind of be very miserable there. When I'm just sitting there with like 2-3 meals in me and like drank plenty of water, and I can stand on that scale with like at least a t-shirt on, for example, or my joggers even, and still make that weight. So it's always for me going to be possible to make weight, because just adding, like even if I add like 2 pounds to the quads and the rest of my physique, it's already going to be so different. Because this is like the cliche thing people say about muscle. Like just imagine 2 pounds of like chicken breast and add it on top of your physique. I mean, that's just so much muscle basically.
Yeah.
So, and especially like the smaller muscle groups, like the side delts and the biceps, you only have to add so little of weight there for them to look way more impressive. I'm going to use those techniques basically to make my physique look a lot better without adding too much weight. The only thing that will be added the most, of course, is to the legs in general, but I still have enough room for that as well. And there's always tricks at the end of the week, like the week before you have to weigh in, to lower your weight anyway. So if I gain like a lot of pounds this off season, there's always going to be ways to still make weight no matter what, because there's never going to be a show that I'll be desperate. Oh damn, I don't know what to do, I can't make weight. We're going to make sure it's always going to happen, but at least then I'll be having more muscle and it's going to be in the right places. And you can always be more conditioned and always get there with an even more empty stomach. And there's always a way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's funny to me because people don't realize how much like 2 pounds of muscles is. I mean, you had 2 pounds of muscle. I mean, that's significant, right? But I do think it's funny because there are like people, especially in like the bodybuilding division and the classic physique division, they'll go in an off season, they'll gain like 30 pounds. And they're like, I put on 20 pounds of muscle. And I'm like, no.
No.
Maybe if you just started training, it's like your very first time ever training, that's when you put on the most muscle. So, I mean, maybe you put on a lot of muscle, but as you continue on your journey, there's just no way. You can't possibly put on that much muscle in a short period of time. You just can't. So most of it's probably fat. And then when you're battling with taking fat off and you're trying to maintain the muscle that you added on, you're like, there's not that much there. 2 pounds of solid muscle on your quads, that's going to be significant. That's going to look like a lot of muscle. Like you said, add the chicken breast onto your legs, boom. I can't wait to see what's in store for you. Detroit. You did Detroit. You probably honestly screwed yourself over a little bit when you said that you were going to do the Olympia.
Yeah, I did.
Shot yourself in the foot on that one. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you looked incredible, and now you're back to the drawing board. And what's next for you?
Yeah, so the first thing is it's actually a new experience because there's no direct goal on the horizon. So that's the very interesting part. And I know personally some top Olympians who had the same thing, who purposely do the Olympia and then maybe one show very close, so they are qualified, but then they have a full year until the Olympia again. And they also kind of lose direction and they start to feel a little mentally not as well as before, because it takes such a long time to get to the next show, because you can't bulk for a whole year, or there's always moments in between where you have to maintain, for example, and it's very difficult to have like the discipline day in, day out to do your very best when the goal is so far away. But I'm a very structured person, so I don't need a goal that's close, because this is my life. It's my passion. I love cooking healthy. I love eating anyway, so that's not going to be a problem. But I do think it's very important when you have such a long season ahead that I don't go all out right away, because I notice in myself that if I would go to the gym now and go to failure and go super high volume and basically work out like I've had always, it's going to tear me down more than build me up. Now it's all about recovery first. And I'm actually going to have a holiday in May for the first time ever to an ultra all-inclusive resort in Curacao with the family. So that's going to be a very difficult difficult and easy at the same time, because I'm, as I mentioned, a very structured person. But when you go to a resort like that, you have all the options in the world. And I have to take advantage of this time, because I think it's going to be the only holiday now, maybe in a long time, that I'll be able to actually enjoy myself and not think too much about the consequences, because there's so much freedom.
Yeah.
And when you experience this freedom, it gives you way more energy, like mentally and physically, to go attack your next phase, basically. So the recovery phase is going to be quite long. Then we're going to have like an enjoyment phase at the holiday. And after that, the true off season begins. And me and my coach are going to do everything we can to build as much quality muscle as possible. And at least we said at least a year that we're going to take off. But as I mentioned before, when we reach a point in my development, in my physique, where we're saying, okay, now we're at a point where we can actually do a show, and no matter which show it is, we're just going to win, then we are ready. And so we'll know when it's there. But that's the nice thing about this. We don't plan anything ahead. Like, of course, in my head, I have like, it would be nice to do the Arnold next year, but maybe not. I don't know. It's really going to be dependent on how quickly I progress. It could go very quick, but I have to take at least enough time to solidify the muscle mass, as that's the reason why I lost so much fullness in the legs before the Arnold, is because I just built those legs up. And before they could really solidify and really stay there, they kind of disappeared again, because that's exactly why we decided we're going to take this long season and not do the Olympia. Because my coach, he said, only one bad thing has to happen for you, and then you fall apart, because it's kind of, you build something very fragile, because you've never taken time off to really let it rest and solidify to real tissue. And he's so smart about that, because it's just a very logical approach to things. But that's exactly how the mind of my coach works. Like, he just always tells the truth, and I'm like, oh, he's right. Yeah, we got to take just a few months off and really just enjoy life, enjoy getting back into the gym, enjoy building muscle, enjoy working out again. Because if I'm honest, for like the last few months, like we had the Olympia, we had the Arnold, like kind of back-to-back preps, and then you kind of go to the gym because you have to maintain muscle, but not because you really want to work out. Like, it's not every day that I'm like, oh, I'm going to the gym, let's have some fun. But you can't really get stronger, you can't really progress much. So now this is going to be a real different experience, and finally getting back to my roots again, and just working out hard and enjoying the process.
I don't think it's gonna be a problem for you. Like, I think when you're a top level athlete, having a distinctive goal is sometimes crucial. But for you, your goal is creating the most incredible physique, and you're so in tune with your body that you're keeping track of exactly how your body's progressing, and you're on that mission day in and day out, enjoying the process of working out. So for you, you are reaching a goal, but you have a vision of exactly what you want your physique to look like, and that vision, you're keeping track of it. And as you continue and as you see your body change, you're letting that be your guide. Like however long it takes for you to get the body that you know is going to be the best body in the world, and you know that's going to happen, you're on that journey. And so I also know it's not going to be a problem for you, because before getting on this show, you're like, I'm sorry, I need a little extra time. I'm eating my meal. I'm finishing my meal. So you're obviously on track. You don't need a show to be on track. You're getting in your meals. Your 800 grams of carbs or whatever crazy amount of carbs you have to eat per day. But no, I think everything, as a fan and as, somebody that's paying attention to your journey and watching everything you're doing, your journey, it just makes sense. It just the way that the work that you put in to get to where you got, your mini hiccups, your journey, your finding your way while you're at the top, creating the improvements you need to get to the top, the very top. It's all makes sense. It's the champion's journey for sure. So I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that a lot. I really thrive on also like people like you who believe in me, who say I can do it. Because ultimately, intrinsic motivation is important, but it's also very nice to hear it from other people who then believe in you, and that's just very nice to hear.
I'm so glad. No, this is awesome. I'm glad that I was able to get you. I'm glad I was able to get you here and chat with you, because I really want to talk to you about all these things. And then also, it was so nice to have you at our booth greeting your fans, because it's one thing to know how many fans that you have, but social media is such a weird world because you don't see people face to face. But it's a whole nother world when you go and you see your fans in person and they're lined out the door literally to come see you, and you realize what an impact you've made. And this is after you went through that whole ordeal getting on the Arnold stage.
Yeah.
And then you got this line of people at the door, and it puts things in perspective, right?
Exactly. It's always so special. Like usually after the prejudging of a show, and you can already see I'm not going to win. But people still say, I like your physique the best. Like genuinely, they say, I like your physique the best. I think you're going to win. And like most fans are not real diehard bodybuilding analytics. Like they just watch the show because they know people who they like or are a fan of, or they just like the experience. So they just see what they see. Win. Yeah, and they say what they think. And then to hear so many times that they still prefer like my physique, even though I know I'm probably going to be 5th or something in this show, and I'm already disappointed. Like you come out of prejudging disappointed, but then you're getting lifted back up by the people who watched you. Yes. They say so many nice things to you, and yeah, you're right. So many people are there to put back into perspective what you're really doing. Instead of
this is exactly what I just went through this exact same thing from myself, coming off of not defending my title and kind of being in a similar situation where, people tell me the same things, and I'm like, it really makes you go, there's such a perspective in all of this. We get so wrapped up in our worlds and what we're there to do. And then you take a step back and you look at it from far away and you're like, wait a minute, look at how other people see your journey and what you're doing and how much you've put into it and your passion, and that inspires them like crazy. And that's the gift of it all.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. I mean, it's just amazing. Like, of course, on Instagram and social media in general, you hear quite a lot of this, but to see the faces, like it's different when you see the emotion on people's faces as they are saying it. It's that's what you remember, because you don't remember like the motivational comment somebody told you like 3 months ago, but I do still remember like from years ago people talking to me at expos and bodybuilding shows, like what they looked like and even what they were saying and how they responded emotionally to it. So those are way stronger memories when you actually speak to the people and they went through the trouble usually of waiting an hour in line, for example. It just means a lot to have these experiences, and I'm very blessed that I'm in this position.
I love that. All right. I want you to have, I know you just said something amazing, but I want you to have the last word. What would you like to say to your fans and your followers and everybody who loves you so much? I feel like we could talk forever, and I would love to have you back on. But unfortunately, now we're coming to a close, and I want you to have the final word.
Of course. So, yeah, to everybody who, you probably, when you follow me, you probably also follow other people. And even though we look like professionals and we can do it all and we can take anything, we're also just humans. And it really, really helps whenever you have something to say, like especially when it's positive, of course, to actually say it out loud, like under a video or a picture or a personal message. Like I sometimes get messages of people say, I normally never reply or normally never comment, but I wanted to say this. Like it helps so much whenever we're having like a difficult day or a problem or some lack of motivation on that day to pull you through as well. So the stories I hear from people telling me that I inspired them, the people who talk to me, they inspire me in turn as well. So it's not just that I'm like an individual and I'm a professional bodybuilder and everything automatically happens. Like it's kind of a team effort, like with the whole industry also. So let's just, as cliche as it sounds, spread the positivity. Whenever you like in your mind, you're like, oh, I kind of like this message or I want to say something positive, just do it. No matter, it doesn't, of course, have to be me. Just any athlete you follow that you see when you scroll down those pictures and you see something that you get inspired by or motivated by, let them know, and it's really going to change their day as well. It could be your comment that changes somebody's day for the better. And if any of those athletes give you something positive, you might as well give it in return. And I think it's going to make both people feel good as well. So yeah, that's kind of my message, because I've noticed I've been doing that myself a lot as well. Also to other athletes, I don't care what they have or haven't achieved. I see they put in the work, and I tell them exactly that I think it's awesome what they're doing, and ask them questions and just show interest in general. And I think that's just a very positive thing to do. So let's all be as positive as possible, and it's going to be way better for the whole industry if we do so.
And that's why you are so loved, and that's why you are the champion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wesley. And thank you all for tuning in. We're going to keep this up and keep it rolling, so you can watch it later. But again, thank you so much. And until next time, we will see you all later.